Hello everyone, Don with Resolute Outdoors here. Today we're going to be going over how I make my favorite chili recipe. It's called 11-year-old chili. It's kind of an odd name. If you're curious as to why it's called that, stick around to the end. So let's get right into it. So the first thing you'll need is 2 pounds of ground meat. I'm using a blend here of deer and beef, but you can use any kind of blend, turkey or chicken. The way this recipe was taught to me was 1 pound of beef and 1 pound of sausage, but like I said, any kind of ground beef will do. So we'll just brown that up and then we'll strain it and put it in the crock pot. All right, so while that meat is browning, we'll take our onions and our green peppers. I typically use 2 large onions or 3 medium-sized onions, and then 2 green peppers. Or if you're from Northeast PA, mangoes. But you'll take those and you'll chop them up as fine as you want. I typically like the consistency of like 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch, but you can do it how you like it. Also, don't forget, you can save the scraps from these and you can freeze them and use them to make bone broth or other broths later on. So let's get into it. All right, our meat is cooked. We're gonna go strain that and we're gonna put it in the crock pot. Strained into the crock pot. You can also do this outside in a Dutch oven. I've done that before. Kind of a bad storm out today, so I'm gonna do this inside here on the crock pot. Also, I strained this pretty well. I didn't get too crazy with it. I left a little bit of grease in the pan because we're gonna use that for our next step. All right, so we're gonna take our peppers and onions and we're gonna throw them back in that pan with the grease that we had left over from frying up our meat, and then we will brown these till they're mostly cooked all the way through. They don't have to be perfectly cooked the way through. This is going to simmer in the crock pot for a little while, so if these are still a little bit crunchy, that is okay. All right, so the peppers and onions are fried up. The onions are kind of half clear, half not, so it's kind of in between. They're still a little bit crunchy, but that's fine. These are going to go in the crock pot and they'll finish cooking in there. All right, so we have the hardest part done. Pretty simple now. All we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cans of kidney beans. I drained these out. I didn't rinse them. I just drained them out. We'll put them in. One large can of baked beans. You can use 2 smaller ones if you do have it. If you don't have a big can, but big can's my preferred method. And then leave all the juice in there. Dump all that in there. And then we'll take 1 jar of just spaghetti sauce. Dump that in. And then we'll take barbecue sauce. It can be the cheapest stuff you can find, and put half a bottle of that in. All right. And then the last thing we'll put in is chili powder. Now this is kind of a sweet chili. This isn't a spicy chili. We can make it spicy at the end, but I'll put a tablespoon here of just regular chili powder in there. And then we'll stir that all up. You can put in cayenne pepper later. I'm gonna let this simmer for probably about 4 hours or so. You wanna do it at least for 1 hour, just to give everything a time to combine and integrate. But once you do that, let it simmer for an hour. You know, before you're ready to serve, if you wanna add your cayenne in, that's what I would do if you wanna make it spicy. A lot of times I'll just, leave that to the end if I want it spicier and other people don't. So that's the best way to do it in my opinion. So I'm gonna get this all mixed in and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, that's what it looks like all mixed in. It looks pretty thick. You will get some more liquid as this cooks down and as some of the peppers and onions cook down a little bit more. You can add some more water in here, especially if you're gonna cook it for a long time. I mean, like I said, I'm going to do this for probably about 4 hours. You can go as little as 1 hour. You can I've done it before 8 hours plus. The longer you cook, the more concentrated and the better the flavors are going to be, in my opinion. But you will have to add water as time goes on. So I have this on low, and this will bubble and simmer a little bit. You might have to add more water if it does start to get a little bit dried out. Also, if you add too much water or you want to serve it quicker and this is a little bit too liquidy for you, you can also just add in some tomato paste to thicken it up if you want to. So I'm gonna let this sit for 4 hours on low, and then we'll be back. All right, so this is the chili after about 5 or 6 hours or so. I had it up on high for about a half hour or so, and then I turned it to just to keep warm and just let it sit for that long. No, I didn't add any water or any tomato paste or anything like that. Like I said, if you would go longer, you could add some water, or if you were wanting to, if you wanted to have it sooner, you might need to add some water just to thin it out a little bit. Now this, like I said, this is more of a, I said sweet earlier, but not really a sweet chili. It's just not a spicy chili. You could add your cayenne pepper or any other type of heat that you would want at this point. So let me go over and I'll tell you the story about why it's called 11-year-old chili. All right, so I got my bowl of chili here. Now before I tell you why it's called 11-year-old chili, let me just go over the appropriate way to have this. Now, instead of using some sort of cheese or crackers, your best bet is Cheez-Its. They work great. They go on top of your chili really well. You get that cheddar flavor, and then you also get that salty, crackery type flavor as well. So the reason it's called 11-year-old chili is this is a recipe that was taught to me when I was a scout. I was probably about 11 or 12 when I learned it. And kind of the story goes that this was a chili recipe that was simple and easy for young scouts to make. And the first group of boys who had made this were 11 years old. Hence the name 11-year-old chili. So that's kind of the story behind it. This has really stuck with me. It's kind of burned into my memory for sure. It's my go-to chili recipe. Like I said, it's not spicy. It's a mellow, kind of standard chili. If you like what's in chili, you'll like this recipe. And you can spice it up and alter it however you like. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you.